Top 40 hit.
Number 40, yeah.
Can you tell us about...
It wasn't 41. We were so sure it was going to be number 41. We had an idea to make a T-shirt with number 41 on it. But it spoiled it.
It's a perfect pop song. It's so good.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke and Dave.
340-somethings reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
We look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. Episode 87 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. I think it's 87. Yeah?
Yeah, about that.
Speaking to Graham Kemp from Urusei Yatsura later. Oh, fuck off. I've been
For people listening, I'm shaking my head disdainfully.
I'm English. That's how English people will pronounce it.
And Luke does it too well. Luke goes, yes, right, and then he goes back to his normal voice.
It's like when someone pronounces like foreign food in the right way and then goes back to speaking English.
Yeah. Go on, how should it be pronounced?
Go on.
Urusei Yatsura, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that better? Yeah, is that making happy? It's Urusei Yatsura. It's the best way to pronounce it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you are forgiven because you are sort of half Japanese now, aren't you? So.
Basically.
What's everyone been up to this week? Dave, come on, what's the Beric news?
I think we need to stop with that because there's been none.
That's bi-weekly, isn't it?
I saw a slow worm the other day.
Oh, what do you mean there's no news? What the fuck?
The first slow worm of the summer. I put my spade right through it, the poor little bugger.
Oh, you evil bastard. Why?
No, but they multiply, don't they? That means there's two slow worms.
Just because they can do it doesn't mean you chop them in half.
That's earthworms.
How long was it, Dave?
Hard to know. Maybe a foot.
Yeah. Wow, they're technically snakes, aren't they? Slow worms. I think.
No, they're lizards.
Yes, I think they are.
They're
lizards. Are
they? Yeah,
they're not snakes. Answers in the comments. I think Dave's probably right.
So I'm right.
He knows stuff like that, doesn't he? Sorry,
but then I did see a living small one, like a baby.
And you let that one live.
Kill that. Yeah, I didn't mean to kill the bigger one. It's just they lurk in the soil, and then you just put your spade through it.
And that's not the only Beric news. We saw a Hitler horse the other day, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Tell us about the Hitler horse. Did it have a moustache?
It horse that's got like a square moustache.
and Dave said it could. He might have been reincarnated as a horse in Beric.
Yeah,
like Hitler.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, then we thought, well, it might not be Hitler. What if it's Churchill reincarnated as a horse with a Hitler moustache?
Yeah, that'd be ironic,
it's just
wouldn't
as likely, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just as likely. More likely. Yeah. If anything.
So, there's always something going on in the leafy Beric.
Yeah.
I suppose so, yeah.
Luke, what have you been up to?
I've been out to see some bands this week. It was pretty good.
Ooh, we won't know any of them, will we?
No. I went to see a band the headliners were a band from Mexico called Hong Kong Fuck You.
Mexico.
That's the name of it. That's just racist. Called Hong Kong Fuck You. They were like it's a good name. I guess like hardcore power violence, I guess, kind of grindy power violence kind of sound.
That's my favourite genre.
I mean, I like it too. They had 3 bassists, but no guitar.
Oh, that's interesting.
3 basses, a drummer, and a singer who did like a few like electronic-y like things with pedals and shit. Yeah, it's good, man.
Sounds
really
awful, but you probably enjoyed it.
It was good. Yeah, good support bands as well. Slight Slappers, who I'm a big fan of, seen a couple of times. This one guy called Blackphone 666, he's just like a noise kind of power electronics guy. He was really, really cool. Yeah, Yeah, it's good, man. So, been out to gigs. How about you, Neil? You looking at your Shine T-shirt there? How was the rest of the weekend? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was good. It's too much to talk about in this short section. But
well, condense it.
One of my highlights, Space Monkeys. You remember them, right?
Ah, Acid House Kill Rock and Roll. Yeah, man. Loved Space Monkeys.
Were great. But they're back.
They were the dance oasis they were kind of billed as, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they were brilliant. Ultrasound, they were great.
They were man, I'd really like to get them on. Maybe get Vanessa from the band. Afterwards. That would be good. Oh, did you?
I spoke to Tiny. He said send me an email, so I have, and fingers crossed.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wait, brilliant.
So, I'll try and get them both on though.
That'd be good. Yeah.
But they were great. They were really good. They were one of my highlights. Ash were brilliant. I thought they were really good.
Yeah.
Wonderstuff were really good. Peter Hook and the Light were great.
How were the Light? That. I don't care about Peter Hook. I want to know about the Light.
They're a great band, but it was a good show. I enjoyed that. That's probably my highlight of the week, actually, because I do like a bit of New Order. It was good to see Peter Hook. He had to go for a wee. First time I've ever seen it. He said they stopped to finish the song, and he's like, I've got to go for a piss. He went off.
Yeah. I completely understand. I would do that.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. Fair play, So he went off for a piss. Come back.
Good on him.
Carried on.
I like that.
So do I.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have to tell us, did he? Could have just gone. Yeah, it was just a really good weekend. And then I met up with the guys from the group, didn't I?
Oh, yes. How was the podcast meetup, man? I saw the picture. Nice. It looked good, man.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah.
How many were there?
There was 6, including me, I think. 7?
That's great.
6
good number.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I was pleased. It was really nice.
Did you get any complaints?
Yeah.
Just about you, really. Just
all right.
Dave's face complaints. Yeah.
Just what are you doing there, basically?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Not yet. Answer the fucking question.
I don't know.
No, but weirdly as always.
Show, man.
Yeah, you were spoken about fondly, so I'm not going to lie. They said what we always say. It'd be good to get some more female guests on, but we are trying. So and we will keep trying. It's not for everyone to try, but nice bunch of people. It was pleasant.
Good stuff, man.
Sun was out, beer was drunk, not by me, but it was a good start to the people's day, I think, before they all got mashed up.
Oi, oi.
Right?
Oh, no.
Oh, 808 State as well. They were brilliant. Or he was brilliant.
I remember you used to like a bit of 808 State.
Bloody laser show.
The
they had a laser show, and that's always good in my books.
Sure.
They featured in the University Challenge music round the other day. In the music round, you have to identify the band. 9 out of 10, it's fucking classical music. But yeah, this time it was a bit of electronic 90s music. Mind you, I didn't get the 808 State one.
They just played the
music.
You
would have. Yeah.
I do like watching that show. There's some proper geeks on there, isn't there?
University Challenge.
Yeah.
There was a meme last year because there was someone from Birkbeck College called Macmillan. And whenever he called his name out, it was like, Birkbeck Macmillan. Birkbeck Macmillan. So there were memes about that because it sounded like a chicken.
Okay.
Say chicken again.
Chicken.
You say chicken wrong.
I don't think so.
You say it like someone from Liverpool.
You say chicken.
So?
Sound like a scouser.
You always do it. It's all right. I'm just saying. You noticed it before. Yeah, Shine On was good. Really good. Enjoyed it. I met some really nice people. Saw some cool bands. Managed to edit all those clips together. It took longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, that's good, man. Did you share them with their bands?
Of course.
Did you send them? Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. My social media.
All right. Sorry.
Jesus. And yeah, I think we've got some guests from it as well. Made some contacts and stuff. So all in all, successful weekend. Oh no, but this week I'm going to War of the Worlds. That's on Saturday.
All right.
Oh, in London.
No, in Brighton Centre.
Be careful, man.
Get fucking hit by those heat rays. I'd be gone.
People would be running for the hills.
Is Richard Burton doing it?
They've changed it, haven't they, to Liam Neeson?
Good choice.
Yeah, it's got a few famous people in it. Charlie from Busted is in it.
You said famous people.
But it's like a matinee thing, so it's like 1:30. I like that because I'm old. And I get tired. That's perfect. One more thing before we move on about Shine On. Really did feel my age by the end of that weekend. I was really tired. My little legs couldn't take that anymore.
Well, you have to stand around for hours, right?
Yeah, and I'm walking from room to... I did quite a lot of moving around from stage to stage and stuff, and walking. Yeah, it's a lot of walking and standing. And by the end of it, I had to sit down for some of the Wonderstuff in the VIP bit.
What's it like in the VIP bit?
Yeah, behind the velvet rope.
Hang on, it wasn't really a VIP bit. It was more like where the press go, and it's like there's like a disabled area, but it's just off to the side, so it's good. So the disabled people get a good view of the stage, and you can get access to like the press pit.
Right, so you can get better videos and stuff. Right.
Yeah, so I just had to take a pew in there for a little while, and then the same happened the night before. Peter Hook and the Light. I had to sit down.
Did you take a disabled person's seat?
No, I didn't.
Evil fucker.
I didn't.
Of course he did.
You did. You kicked them out.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did feel a bit. It's depressing, isn't it?
Getting old. It's all good.
Let's get into this week's episode with Graham from Urusei Yatsura.
Racist again.
Oh, go on, you do it.
Just say it. It's not hard.
I don't know how to say it.
Before you do the next part, you need to apologise to last week's sponsor.
Well,
for completely mispronouncing.
Well, we got a chance to redeem ourselves because he sponsored this week's episode as well. So.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, but he did say, I said, do you want to sponsor this week's episode? And he said, I haven't actually listened to this week's episode yet. That's
okay.
So,
tell him.
It's all right.
Leave it a while, mate. Yeah. Leave it a while.
You've got to explain. You've pointed this out, and someone in the group's pointed it out. Yes. I still don't understand how else to say it.
It's called Shire Curios. You know what a curio is?
No.
You know the word curio?
No. Never heard that word before.
What? It's just like, bits and bobs, bric-a-brac, that kind of thing, right?
I've never heard that word before.
There we go. If you haven't heard it, that's fair, man. That's fair. So you should apologise for last week's mispronunciation.
I apologise.
Shire Curios.
I would never willingly make myself look stupid, would I? I didn't know the fucking word. I don't know.
That's fair.
I know it now.
If you don't know it, that's fair. That's fair.
Like Cheerios, but Curios.
Exactly like that.
Well, I do apologise. Yeah, I genuinely thought I was saying it right. But anyway, we put links and everything. It wasn't like we people. I'm sure people could still find it, but I do apologise for my pronunciation.
But you need to do the spiel again if he's sponsoring us again.
So let me find the Curios. Curios, that's a new one, isn't it?
Curios,
that's a new one, isn't it?
No, it's a normal word.
Dave, did you know the word?
I did.
Of course you fucking did. It's just me.
Yeah.
Genuinely, because you sent me an email and I was like, yeah, but that's still the same. I don't know what I said different. Okay, so Shire Curios is a family online retailer selling all sorts of collectibles from vinyl to cameras to vintage beer and cheese labels.
Now, I had a look at Shire Curios after sponsoring. Yeah. Well, I was looking for records basically, and there was some cool stuff on there, very reasonably priced as well, I should say.
And as a discount.
Yes, don't forget the discount, which I'm sure you're going to say in a minute. There were quite a lot of cheese labels on there, vintage cheese labels. They were nice. They were nice. They were cool.
Are they framed?
No, don't think so. No. Lots of ones from Holland. There's one from Sweden I saw, I think. Some cool stuff on there.
And they are just vintage cheese labels, right?
Vintage cheese labels.
You said it's a big seller. He said it's a big seller. They've got 20,000 listings on eBay and they've got a positive feedback score of over 27,000. That's 27,000 happy customers.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
You could be the 27,000th and one that I can't say
easy for you to say.
Yeah.
They've got a load of 90s vinyl recently that should be of interest to our listeners. To find them, you need to go to eBay and put in Shire Curios and you'll find their store. That's SHIRE CURIOS. And if you put in a coupon code STUPID10, you get 10% off absolutely everything until the end of April.
Imagine that. Imagine
everything on eBay.
And if entered at checkout, there's also a multi-buy discount of 20% for all purchases of more than one record. I mean, look, so you've been
what are you waiting for?
Luke? You've had a look, have you?
Yes, I have, some good stuff.
You ordered anything?
Yeah, pretty reasonably priced. No, the shipping kind of precludes me from doing that.
But it won't preclude people in this country. You're too far away. So go and check it out. Thanks again, Richard, for sponsoring this week's podcast. If you want to sponsor the podcast, send us an email at stupidandcontagiousPodcast@gmail.com, and I can get your name wrong as well when I introduce it. So once again, apologies, Shire Curios. Thanks for sponsoring this week's podcast.
I'm going to buy some.
Good.
Some more cheap labels.
No, some vinyl. 90s.
Get some. Yeah, do it.
I'll let you know.
Not just 90s, 80s as well, and 70s. All kinds of stuff was on there.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look as well. I haven't had a good look yet because I was at Shine On, but I'll have a look. All right. So, with that, if you are
don't forget the other stuff.
I'm just doing it now.
Fucking sorry, mate.
Fucking hell. If you are watching, then please do remember to subscribe to our channel. We're nearly at 1,100 subscribers, so that's good. We're ticking along nicely. There's loads of new videos on there now from Shine On, so go and check those out. If you are listening, then please do rate and review. Share it with your friends so they can find the podcast. Because I found at Shine On, there's like 8,000 people. There's something like that. It'd be good if more people sort of recognise us when we go. Not for our egos, but because it showed how many people listen to the podcast. Although I did get a couple of people that weren't at that meeting that came up and said, really enjoying the podcast. So
really?
Yeah.
That's pretty mad, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. You can download the app on iPhone. You can download our stupid app. Android, still working on that, but we'll get it out there as quick as we can. But yeah, it's just an easy way to go between the podcast and Luke's mixtapes, which you really do need to go and listen to because they're good. Let's get on with this week's episode. Luke, tell us a bit about that band that can't be named.
Okay, so Urusei Yatsura, well, it can be translated in many different ways. Fuck off. So they often, I've heard that them in interviews translate it as noisy stars, but I think noisy bastards is a better way, or noisy guys is a better way to translate it.
It doesn't mean noisy bastards, so does it?
But it can do.
Right.
Like, urusei is a word that means like noisy or annoying. It can mean annoying as well. And then if you kind of change the ending, it slightly makes it a bit like a rougher sound. And then Yatsura just means like guys, but it's got kind of the nuance of kind of bad guys, so it's kind of like noisy bastards is kind of like
let's go with
the best way to translate it. Although in Japan and America, they're just called Yatsura for copyright reasons, basically. A bit like the London Suede that I showed that record recently, right? So they're just called Yatsura.
It's annoying when that happens.
So, 4-piece, Fergus Laurie, guitar and vocals. Today's guest, Graham Kemp, guitar and vocals. Elaine Graham on bass, and her brother, Ian Graham, on the drums. Have you got a description of them from Wikipedia, Neil?
Yeah, of course I have.
It's a shame they couldn't all be called Graham. It's 3 out of 4 Grahams.
What's that?
His first name's Graham. Yeah.
But Elaine and Fergus got married, right? So if he had taken her name, they'd all be called Graham.
He might have done. Just for that.
Hope so.
Just for a laugh. Yeah.
They're a Scottish rock band formed in Glasgow in 1993.
There you go. Well, the description they've got on their Bandcamp page, I guess they wrote it, which I really like, is 90s lo-fi geek rock from Glasgow, which is good description. As you said, formed in 93. I won't go into it too much because he tells us in the interview, but basically Fergus met Graham at the University of Glasgow. They met Fergus met Elaine in a nightclub, and she joined, and then they had loads of different drummers, and then one night the drummer didn't turn up, so her brother jumped on the drums and became a permanent member of the band. But he tells the story in the interview, so I won't go too much into it. The main thing was that Ian wasn't a drummer, basically, but
and she wasn't a bassist.
And she wasn't a bassist. Yeah. They put out a track on a compilation album put together by Alex Kapranos, who comes up a lot, right, in this podcast. So, see the Mogwai interview for talk about that. So basically, he was running this night at the 13th Note in Glasgow called the Kazoo Club. So he put out a compilation album. They had a track on it called "Guitars Are Boring." What do you think about that? A guitar's boring?
Well, you said that you prefer 3 basses.
That's true. Hong Kong, fuck you. Obviously, think so. Yeah.
I don't know if they're boring.
Why
No,
are they
they're not
boring?
boring.
No, I don't think so.
They're one of the least boring things invented, actually. So I disagree strongly.
They also had a fanzine as well, which he talks about a little bit, called Kitten Frenzy. Basically, one thing led to another. John Peel saw them play. They were interviewed about their fanzine, and he basically invited them to do a session there and then, as they were being interviewed on the radio. So before they'd released anything, they were basically did a John Peel session, which is pretty amazing. And interestingly, so he says they did the Peel session in Glasgow. He said in the interview that they didn't have any money, which apparently is completely true. They didn't have any amps and they didn't have any money to get to London. But apparently it was the first Peel session not recorded at Maida Vale since the Undertones, way back when. So there you go. Special treatment for
Special
Urusei
treatment.
Yatsura. They signed to Shay Records and released loads of singles, basically Plastic Ashtray, Siamese, Colonel, 12-inch All Hail Urusei Yatsura, and had some split singles with the Delgados, with Mogwai, etc., etc. So basically building up. First album came out in 1996. We Are Urusei Yatsura. Great tracks on there. Siamese, my favourite, Cupid's Like Watermelon, Phases on Stun, First Down a New Planet. Really, really good.
What's a Cupid, Luke?
It's like a little cherub.
Oh.
Dave, you're a Cupid, aren't you?
You're a bit of a Cupid.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
You're everyone's little Cupid.
That's the most disgusting thing you've ever said.
That's abuse.
And apparently the first copies of Cupid's Like Watermelon had like a little free temporary tattoo on it that said Geek Rock on it. So they were playing up their geek angle right from the start. And I just think it's a great record. Right? Well, I don't know. I wasn't really a geek like that. I wasn't into comics and like Japanese geek culture or stuff like that. True. I wasn't. Yeah. True. I just thought they were really cool. Around this time, they also toured with Super Furry Animals and Pavement and Teenage Fan Club and Mogwai and loads of people. Second album came out in 1998, Slain by Urusei Yatsura. Their hit song Hello Tiger is on there. Got to number 40 in the charts. He talks about it in the interview. Top 40 hit. But also Strategic Hamlets, Fake Fur, Slain by Elf. All really, really good tunes. I saw the album. I read a review at the time that described it as hooks meet feedback. What do you think about that as a description?
Hooks meet feedback. Yeah, pretty good.
It's kind of what Nirvana did, right? That could describe Nirvana as well, right? Of the sound of the record, the album. What do you reckon? Yeah. And I think they had, we talk about it a little bit, but like they had more in common with like what Nirvana were doing than any of the Britpop bands.
Oh, they definitely sounded more American. Yeah.
Third and final album, Everybody Loves Urusei Yatsura, came out in 2000 on their own label, Oni Records, which is probably why I can't find a copy of it. As you can see, it's missing from my collection. I got the first two, but not the third. I guess they didn't make as many copies if they put it out on their own label.
Is it on Spotify or not?
No, there's only a couple of things on Spotify.
You know where you might find it?
Shire Curios. They might have it. They might do.
Shout out to our sponsors this week, Shire Curios.
They might have that album.
they might have that album. So, great tracks on it. Ethan Youth, Lush 33, and a very interesting track called Thank You. Now, Dave's going to tell us about this in a minute. So the first 15 seconds of the track Thank You is basically, it's like a tape upload of a Spectrum, ZX Spectrum.
Oh,
Dave, I can't even know what the fuck it is. Explain it, Dave.
Did you have
basically,
one? Did you have a Spectrum?
Yeah, it's like when a tape loads in a Spectrum.
Yeah, you must have remembered that noise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it sounds familiar.
So basically, I gave Dave some homework. I gave him the challenge of decoding this this tape noise from a ZX Spectrum. And how did you get on, Dave?
Well, I honestly tried. I had a really good go, and I had to install some really nasty, dodgy shit on my computer. But I'm afraid I couldn't get it to work.
Oh, really?
But I could guess what it is.
Go
on.
Have
a guess.
On him. Yeah, have a go.
Well, maybe when you went into what everyone did on a computer was write that program, wasn't it? Print something and then go to 10.
Yeah.
Remember doing
I remember that? I
Sure.
remember that.
So that's my guess. I reckon they printed the band name and then went go to 10. That's my guess.
No. Apparently you get like a red background and a screen that says, "Hail Satan, lick his cloven hoof." Then you get a message saying, "What is sadder? A, finding this, B, writing it."
Well, that exceeds my expectations, I must say.
That's pretty good.
No, you got to do it, man. You got to see it for yourself.
I know. I did try, but I'm just not nerdy enough, I think. I couldn't get it to work.
Been out nerdy by them. Cloven hoof. I've never. Would you lick a cloven hoof?
Yeah,
I'd rather lick that than a foot.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Especially Neil's foot. No effect.
Yes.
No, none taken.
Hell.
I don't think even those little fish things would like my feet.
No, they wouldn't. They would down tools and refuse to work. They're going strike.
They'd go and swim to the bottom of the pool. Squealing.
The band split in 2001, and basically Graham went back to working in a record shop, as he talks about in the interview, and did some solo stuff. And he had and still has a band called Caracas. The other three, Ferguson, Elaine, and Ian, they formed a band called Project ACO. Had one album in 2009. Fergus did some interesting kind of drone music under the moniker Angel of Everyone Murder. Doesn't even make sense. Angel of Everyone Murder, which is pretty cool. Kind of like long kind of drone pieces. And there's loads of, basically Graham's been over the last few years putting loads of stuff on Bandcamp. So there's loads of live recordings and kind of you get the albums, but they might not be like the exact artwork and stuff like that. But most of it's on there basically, and it's really cool. I've got one more fact about them, which I read, but I can't confirm it. I've been unable to confirm it in other sources.
We don't worry about that anyway.
No, apparently they're the only band to be threatened by both the Yakuza and the Mafia.
Oh,
what?
Again, it said that, but I couldn't find anything to confirm it.
This isn't it. We're not getting involved in this shit, are we?
Well, this page, it claimed that there was a headline in the Sun that said "Nerds threatened with death." Which is,
that's
I don't think
true,
it's true though. I don't know.
It was in the Sun.
I searched through the Sun. There's no. I couldn't find anything to confirm it, so I don't think it's true at all. But there we go.
Was it on page 3 next to the tits?
Yeah, Nerds threatened with death. Exactly. The only other funny thing I found was a SoundCloud, a 16-second SoundCloud clip of John Peel just saying Urusei Yatsura over and over again. It's pretty funny.
Should have used that.
Edit it in, man. Edit it in.
Yeah, I could have just put him in instead of me.
Urusei Yatsura, which is, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, and I probably pronounced it incorrectly anyway, despite being coached, Urusei, one word, Yatsura.
That's it. That's Urusei Yatsura. There you go.
All right. Let's have a listen to the interview, and then we'll have a chat afterwards. Here's Graham from
Urusei Yatsura.
Enjoy. Graham, thanks so much for coming on. Where are you zooming in from today?
Sunny Glasgow. We've the sun has appeared for the first time in 2025, so it's
that's good.
Hooray!
It's odd. There's levels of light that we're not used to. So, if I start acting strange, it's that.
Funny enough, I'm down on the south coast in Brighton, and it's really grayer today. So you've nicked it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we kind of have the sun.
Need to get up here. Need to get up to sunny Victoria Park.
Right, we'll do after this.
And I'm in Tokyo, and it's beautifully sunny but very cold. So, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well.
All right.
Not much of a delay considering. That's good.
It's all right. Technology.
Yeah.
What are you up to these days, Graham? Oh, if you don't mind us asking.
No, go on. Same. It was going to be the same question.
Yeah. Just I don't know. Making millions of compilations. That's my kind of weakness. But working away, there was a kind of wee bit of music kind of going on until the pandemic, and then that all kind of stopped in 2020. Just when you're getting summer, you kind of go back to the start again. So that's fine. It was kind of like an imaginary band anyway, very, very secret, very, very hush hush. So
was it with anyone that we would know?
A pal of mine called Neil from a band called Ghost Bitch. I don't know if you would maybe. We've not really had massive amount of music, to be honest, but
it's a good name though.
Yeah. It was a good one, but yeah, I mean, the way I kind of play music, I just kind of do it as a social thing to play with my pals, and then we usually kind of get something recorded at the end of it and get it out. There's quite a lot of recordings for this particular band that I've been kind of working on recently. The idea is to kind of make one vinyl album. And the reason it's still not kind of been released is the fact I've got to figure out the pricing, because I'm basically going to figure out how much it's actually cost all of us to make it, and then charge that one album to recoup that. So I think it might be somewhere around about 10 grand, and it's just that's a ballpark, but
just massively overprice the album. It'd be fine.
Well, that's it. Well, you've got to break even, haven't you? Though We've never been very good business people, and now this is finally. I'm going to actually kind of work out my profit margins. I'm going to work out my outgoings. I've figured out Excel. I'm pretty sure I can open that up, and we'll figure out just down to the last penny, down to the last plectrum, how much this cost. It's going to be a massive figure, because as we all know, music costs money. It doesn't make money. But this may be the first time that a band actually breaks even. So I really want to be the first at something, and that could be it.
Does the band have a name?
Yeah, we're called Calacas, which are the little kind of Mexican Day of the Dead, sugar skulls,
Oh yeah.
So it's sweet but rotten,
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. All right, can we go right back to the beginning then? How did you start putting Urusei Yatsura together?
Again, that's just was friends. I'd kind of bumped into Fergus through mutual friends while he was at university, and we got into discussions and realized we were both like really into Galaxy 500 and Jonathan Richman, stuff like that. So we ended up kind of playing our guitars through one PV practice amp in a bedroom, and kind of thinking, we could do a bit better than this. So, we kind of got a rehearsal room, and we didn't obviously have a drummer or a bass player, but we kind of just trusted that we would actually kind of bump into people who could do that at some point. Fergus met Elaine in a nightclub and found out she played guitar. So he just kind of basically dared her to come and play bass with us. And
had she played bass before that, or just guitar?
No. She was a guitar player, and she sang in choirs and stuff like that, in school. So, she thought, well, how hard can it be, So she got a hold of bought
24 strings, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's got to be easier, hasn't it? But surprisingly, it's a lot harder. Guitar, you just kind of put a pedal on it and thrash away, and no one can tell that you're not holding the strings down properly. So a bit more precise.
The whole myth of bass playing being easy is, as bass players will know, it's not quite as simple as that, is it?
You've got to have the rhythm, and you've got to have the notes in the right order as well. So it's very exposed. You know yourself, if you go to see a band, like any sort of big venue, it's really, they turn the guitars right down, so you can only really hear the drums and the bass. So they've got to be good. And there's
plus, if you make a mistake on the bass, everyone can fucking hear it. You can't cover that up, can you?
Yeah, totally. So it needs nerves of steel, same as a drummer, with the guitarist, you just kind of like jump around a lot and people think you're good. So you get away with way too much, really. But so we got Elaine to come along and do it, and we had a whole cast of exploding drummers like Spinal Tap, rehearsals and then move on. And we had a guy we played with called Mike for a while who went and got a job in a pea factory and decided to stop playing with us. At that point, he dedicated himself to
followed the dream. Yeah.
So we weren't going to stand in his way. And then the lineup came together one night in the 13th Note, Al Capranos's kazoo club nights. Fergus had met him and was kind of pally with him. And we'd played a couple of times in there on a purely ad hoc, just turn up, pick up your instruments that people have left and play, for however long you want. And you get like a beer each, And that particular night, our drummer wasn't there. He'd probably kind of, was applying to the P Factory or whatever. But Elaine's brother Ian, who always came with us to gigs, was there. So we kind of basically, again, dared him to try and play the drums. His instrument was a classical guitar, so he felt that kind of prepared him quite well for drumming.
Yeah, see, that's a difficult switch, isn't it?
Yeah, he just sat in and he was as good as like anyone else we played with, so he was in.
There you go.
You'll be picking up, it was quite a lackadaisical, kind of effort, really. We didn't have any great plans or it thought out, or there wasn't really a master plan. It was all really just what would be fun to do at this particular time and give it a try and just have no shame.
So what sort of, was this sort of early 90s, was it? Are we talking?
I think I met Fergus in 93. And I think we were kind of, sort of doing rehearsal rooms in a very kind of half-assed way, mid 1993. We must have started playing kind of, because it's like when you look back like 20, 30 years or something, you think, this must have taken ages to get sorted out because it would take ages now. But back then, it was probably just a couple of months, we were doing something and it felt like a year or whatever,
Sure.
Yes. So, we were definitely kind of playing in the 30th Note by the end of 93, because we've got like a recording that we did for a live album that they put out of all the kind of people who played in the club most often. We had a song on that, and I'm sure that was recorded in 93. The recording of that gig, we got the all of that on our Bandcamp, for people to listen to.
I've been digging through that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's just my whole idea of that's just like, it's there. We've got it in cassette tapes. Just let people listen to it. It's not expecting anyone.
People love that stuff.
Any money for it? It's just take it if you're interested. It's
It's
kind of an honesty kind of approach. A lot of bands would probably be and quite be clever to keep these things kind of under wraps because they're not fully formed. They're not kind of perfect. It's just quite ropey in places, and it's a band that's really just starting to figure out who they are and how to do what they're doing. But I find that sort of thing interesting.
Mate, love it. Yeah,
would want to hear it. Might hear it. It's not been foisted on anyone. It's just there if anyone wants to. But no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose, have you? So why not?
Yeah. It's just nice if 5 more people hear it, then no one's hearing it that's sat in a crate and under my bed, So
sure,
just a shame.
Yeah, it's great. So 93, it's like the key. It's kind of the transition between what's going on in America with grunge and Riot Girl and all of that, and then like Britpop just about to emerge in 94. I mean, were you leaning towards the American side of the Atlantic in the stuff that you were listening to around then?
Yeah, I mean the stuff that Fergus were listening to is everyone, Ian and Elaine probably even particularly more so. Because Fergus came in from England, he was there for university basically, and the rest of us were kind of been in Glasgow for a while. But there's a thing when you go to kind of parties in Glasgow, you go and flick through people's record collections, and in 1993, and it's always you're going to find like Nirvana's the Bleach album.
Sure.
You're going to find some Mercury Rev. You're going to find. Dinosaur Jr. It's like if someone doesn't have these records, you go, oh, do you want a tape of mine? They know they just couldn't afford it or something.
Sure.
We're all listening to that sort of stuff. The kind of kind of noisy American bands that started coming through the late 80s. Like Pixies, Sonic Youth, stuff like that. Nirvana. That Bleach album was massive in Glasgow. Like everybody had it.
Interesting.
Kind of falling on when Nirvana actually kind of hit it big. I was actually working Tower Records when we got the kind of
you were working there.
There was a kind of cassette tape of Nevermind that was kind of going around, and the record buyer says, hey, do you want this? I think you might like it. And I said, oh great, I'll have a listen to Nirvana. I got that kind of Sliver kind of single recently in the Sub Pop Singles Club, and so I was really happy to hear that. I'm going, oh wow, this is like a total leap forward. This is really catchy. This is going to be big. I was telling the record guy, how many did you get? He said, I got one. And I said, okay, can you put my name down? I'll have it. So I didn't even know if the first one made it on the shelves, but it was this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I kept having to go back to the supplier and get 5, and then get 10, then get 25, and then get 100. Do you know what I mean? It was just like,
wow.
However many you put out on the shelf would just sell, So I really remember that coming out and being really excited about that. Like that was the kind of thing I was listening to, but by that time it was kind of calming down. I think Kurt died 93, wasn't it? Right? I think
94, early 94, April 94. Yeah.
In the 30s, no one heard about that. Yeah, actually, but round about that time, the whole kind of grunge thing was kind of feeling like it was a bit, it had that, and I was starting to go and buy kind of some old kind of synth duo kind of records out of like charity shops. I was kind of like buying like soft sell records and stuff like that, and going, oh, this would be
okay.
If I ever had the ability to buy like a synthesizer, or something like that, but I wanted to keep it like really, really simple though. Really like 80s kind of style stuff. I didn't want to get very technical because I wasn't really into kind of like the kind of electronic music of the 90s. It was techno was kind of getting kind of bigger around about that time, but it's something I just couldn't latch onto at all. I think
but the 80s stuff did. What was the difference?
Yeah, I had probably nostalgia at the time, but I just liked the kind of the futurism of the really early kind of synthesizer stuff. Like kind of Gary Newman and things like that. That was very much what I was listening to on the way to school. In the 80s. So I kind of had a bit of nostalgia for that, and I thought I'd really go back and rediscover that and see if it'd be possible to do something, because nobody was really doing anything like that at the time. I thought that might be quite hard to do, but I was really just going to stop at the fact that I had no money and I had no technical ability, so it just wasn't going to be a goer. But I did have a guitar I'd bought for £100, and a PV amp, just basically when because I liked Jesus and Mary Chain kind of like semi-acoustic guitars, so I had one of them, which was still first guitar.
Oh wow!
So you could have gone down a whole different route. It's like sliding doors, just because you couldn't afford it. It
was only really starting playing with like Fergus and Elaine that kind of took me away from that, because I found guitar really difficult to learn, and I resented it like nothing on earth. It's so hard because your fingers are bleeding for the first little while, and you're kind of
I hated it. Yeah.
I say this all the time. I'm a non-musician. I can't play a note, and I don't understand how people can just learn shit like that. I just don't get it.
You really stick it a bit better than I did. I was very much wanting to find any kind of cheat that I could do. So we had all different tunings.
Right. So do you start picking up pedals and stuff and try to?
Make fuzz. I always had some fuzz. Never any question about that. But using like drumsticks and kind of playing it like weird, hitting it with hammers, whatever. That was very attractive to me because it just made it easier. I could hit something with a drumstick, but I don't think I could play a, B sus chord or whatever the hell that is. I never know the names of any chords. Someone's got to show me a finger shape, and I don't know. I
remember once I bought one of those violin bows and just sort of played my guitar with that. Just noise.
Yeah,
I like Sigurd.
It was right. It sounded rubbish. Yeah, I was trying to do that, but it just sounded crap.
It's a Jimmy Page one, isn't it? Yeah, I think he used to do that, didn't he? So,
it does sound good when it's done well, though, doesn't it? It does
when it's done well, yeah. Not when it was done the way I did it.
It's surprisingly hard to do to get a sustained out of that. You really have to practice quite a bit. But
who'd have thought? As I said before, I'm in Tokyo, and you're named after Japanese manga. Your songs and artwork are full of Japanese characters, and you've got Japanese translations for all of the titles. Where did the obsession with all things Japanese and Japan come from?
Probably that comic shop, Future Shock, and no, it was called Forbidden Planet, was it? One of those two. Anyway, I can never get them straight in my head, but there was one sort of just at the Buchanan Street Underground that I used to kind of get. I used to buy these 90s comics like Hate and 8 Ball and all this stuff, the kind of like indies, like Love and Rockets. Big comic fan for years and years and years. But I got this. I just basically saw some black and white reprints. There's this comic company called Viz, not the same Viz as the British Viz.
Yeah,
but these American issues of the Japanese Urusei Yatsura comic was like the first. I don't know, they had 6 issues or something like that in black and white. The kind of American comic kind of format, but kind of manga pages in there. And I just really something about it kind of clicked with me. I really liked it because it was ridiculous. There was something really silly about it that appealed to me in the art style. I kind of quite liked it. But I thought like nobody had ever heard of this. It was the most obscure thing I could possibly have ever. No one would know what it was in this country at all. It was like so obscure. But we went through a few kind of different names, for the band, and it was just, nothing was kind of sticking, and everyone at that time, they would because we kind of were in the 30th all the time. We saw a lot of kind of new bands, and the naming convention always seemed to be, you would take the word radio, the word gun, the word head, and then kind of just shuffle those words about to make your band name. So like Radiohead is actually the most quintessentially early 90s band name like that could possibly to the level of it. It's just pure lazy. Do you know what I mean? And I used to hate it, just because just going to 30th note was brilliant preparation for what you shouldn't do. It's just people just starting out. I'm not trying.
Yeah, of course.
Great. We were very critical at the time because we were those kind of snarky sort of people, but I wouldn't say that now. Everyone's just trying to have a laugh, It's not.
Do you remember any of your own discarded band names?
Shrinking Violet was one.
Not bad. That's not bad.
That's all right.
Daydream Nation was one.
Adrian.
Daydream Nation.
Daydream Nation. I mean,
yes, two on the nose. There's no way.
It's too bad. Yeah.
But Foxgloves was one. Like what would you
not the best.
Flower-based names there, but you can see why they all get discarded pretty quickly.
Yes.
Just nothing seemed to stick. But we just got kind of, we had to choose a name for that the first time we were playing in the Kazoo Club, and it was a kind of discussion that was like, well, what can we do? And like, well, if let's choose something, the most stupid, ill-considered band name that we could possibly pick. And I thought, I've got the exact thing. We'll call it Urusei Yatsura. No one even knows how to say it. you know.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask that as my next question. Yeah, do you have journalists and stuff asking you how to say it all the time?
It's very a pure awkwardness, you know, but also because like in that other comic, Hate, the Peter Bagg comic, he had a thing about the Seattle grunge scene. That was all the comic strips kind of about that. He had one of his characters saying, anyone who chooses to name their band after a comic is lame, you know. So, let's name it after a comic. It just had to be done.
Manga's different to comics. It's fine.
Technically.
Yeah.
So it's been going with that, you know. It's but it's quite good because the translation, or one of the many translations you can have of the comic name, depending on how you write it, you'll know this.
Yeah.
It could be Noisy Stars. So we thought, Noisy Stars, that sounds good, and nobody knows what it is. So it's not like we're being pretentious or anything like that, you know. But
it could be Noisy Bastards, Noisy Guys. There's many different nuances. Yeah.
Luke's been picking me up on the pronunciation all week,
you know. So
I have. Yeah. Did you ever get to play live in Japan?
No, we're the only Glasgow band that never got to go to Japan.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's the only thing on our list of our bucket list as a band that we never got to do. We got to do everything else. You know, we had a single in the charts. We got John Peel session. You know, we played a festival. You know, we did everything we really set out to do, apart from that one thing. But we never believed we could do any of it anyway. So it's not as though it's, you know, I stopped crying recently.
Yeah. So you just mentioned John Peel. So you got picked up pretty quickly by John Peel. Is it true that he saw you play at the 13th Note and then started playing your records? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think we'd sent him kind of a demo tape, like a 3-track cassette tape that I'd bodged together a cover from when that kind of live recording in '93 that I was talking about for the Kazoo Club. We sent him 3 tracks from that, and apparently he'd had that in his car for a wee while. He must have just kind of grabbed a handful, and it happened to be there, so he kind of played it a few times, so he was kind of familiar with us. And I think there was a Sound City event, I think, that used to happen back in the day, happening in Glasgow. The BBC were going to be he was going to be doing his show from the BBC on Queen Margaret Drive in Glasgow, and he was going to be going to see some bands, you know, for the shows that were taking place around the town at the time. Alex put on a kind of non-official show for the Kazoo Club, and he'd been in touch with him as well, and said, you know, and John Walters, the producer, said he was going to come along. So he was on the way apparently, and we were about to finish our set, and Alex said, "Hey, look, just like pretend your amps bust and go off for like 10 minutes and come back in, because John Peel's on the way. At least he can see your last
don't
tune."
miss that, yeah.
Right. Oh,
So
good
we just
idea.
kind of kicked around for a wee while, you know, and which wasn't unusual because our stuff was breaking all the time. It was all kind of borrowed kind of crap we had, you know. So we just kind of went back on where he came in and played a couple of songs and kind of went off, and he came up and talked to us after. Because we were all doing this fanzine called Kitten Frenzy at the time as well, which we kind of sent him.
Yeah.
And he was aware of. So he basically kind of was wanting to kind of interview kind of fanzine writers while he was up at the BBC in Glasgow as well. So he said, "Oh, yeah, you do Kitten Frenzy, don't you? You're gonna come in tomorrow to the show, and you know, we'll do an interview." And I said, "Yeah, sure." And you know, get the band to do a session. I'm like, "Yeah, brilliant, yeah, that definitely do that," you know. And then so it was in the next day, it kind of brought in that Kazoo Club live album to him. And he said again, "Oh yeah, because you're in Urusei Yatsura as well. Yeah, you're going to do a session for us, aren't you?" "Well, if you're asking us live on the radio, yeah, definitely."
Yeah,
recorded
that's it. There you go.
So he just plonked the record on and just kind of played it, you know, without looking. You know, one hand he's talking to me in one hand, putting the record on, lining it up, and kind of played it. And I was going, "Please play it at 45. Please play it at 40. Oh, he got it.
Yeah.
But didn't get the full effect, but it was still good.
Oh, he did play at the wrong speed in the end.
No, he didn't. Yeah, I was so
he
disappointed
didn't.
though. I was
Not the proper John Peel experience.
I really wanted it to be the wrong speed. Probably would have sounded better at the wrong speed. But not
how many Peel sessions did you end up doing?
We did the first one in Glasgow because we had like no money to get to London. It was that bad. We were on the dole. And then we did about 3 down in Maida Vale, I think. and there was a live one from a Reading festival, I think, as well, that he played. So I'd say maybe around about 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
It's not as much as a Bogado's, but you know, it's getting there.
Right. Yeah. Do you have any favourite moments from any of those sessions you can tell our listeners about?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the first one was really fun to do because we just basically recorded that tracks that went on to be All Hail the night before, you know, with different borrowed equipment, and then we borrowed different equipment to go in and do the session, and the session was much better because I think we'd been recording them leading the week up, and then we had some like decent amps, and we had like Stuart Cruikshank to produce it, you know, so he did a much better job than we did on our own in a rehearsal studio. So we're just seeing the kind of leap in the quality of the recording kind of was really fun for us, and we got together around at my house and sat and opened some beers and listened to John Peel, and it was just a kind of massive thrill to hear yourself on the radio. And I think the other band that had their session that night was the Blue Tones as well, so it was like us and them.
Oh wow!
Starting the same night, you know, so you can kind of try to figure out who was more successful out of that. But
well,
that's interesting. Yeah, well, but again, that's two different kinds of music, right? Because they became like a quintessential Britpop band, but you never did. Were you? Did you feel part of like the Britpop? You had the timing right. Did you feel part of Britpop?
No, very much in opposition to it, to be honest. You know,
right.
Those things we kind of. I mean, some of the bands involved we kind of liked. I mean, Pulp would have been our band. You know, they were kind of very friendly with people up in Glasgow as well. So there was a bit of a kind of Pulp and the Pastels were always kind of playing together in Glasgow around about that time, and you kind of enjoyed their stuff. But as for the other bands, just I don't think there was much. I mean, we enjoyed like Blur, you know, at the start, you know, when they were kind of There's No Other Way and stuff like that, you know, music to dance to in like indie schmindy clubs, you know, wasn't bad, but didn't really kind of, it got very apples and pears, no offense.
Cool, you know, blimey, governor, all of that kind of business.
we called it Tommy Steele music, you know. You know, it was all that, and it was all very London, you know.
It became a parody of itself in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, really? It was very fake Cockney. I always wondered what Cockneys really thought of, like some guy from home county who's turning up with his like, "How's your father?" You know what I mean? It's like it's annoying. Felt like very Carry On movies to us, you know, which we could enjoy in a kind of you know, silly sort of way, but it just didn't feel very very serious to us. And I think I think a lot of the bands that we used to hang around with, like. Mogwai and you know, those guys just got kind of offended by it in a way.
Famously, Mogwai made their feelings on Blur known very very directly.
I was not a fan of Damon either. You know, that's.
I mean, did you meet any of the Britpop stars? Were you like hobnobbing in the Camden Falcon and all that?
Oh yeah, I had a pee next to Noel Gallagher and the Brat Awards. It was a big moment for me.
Did you talk to him?
No, we never really kind of met kind of famous people. You know, it wasn't really kind of our sort of thing. You know,
no.
I think we always had in our mind like we were kind of like just entirely in a different level to those bands. I mean, we always had this kind of phrase we would call like, "Oh, there's that guy from that big proper band," you know.
Okay.
It was like,
come on,
kind of, I mean, they're professionals, whatever, but we were just kind of like plucky amateurs, and it was just our kind of job to kind of chip away at that and, you know, throw apple cores at them, basically, you know, just not take it seriously.
Sure.
I mean,
I think you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice there. You're a great band in your own right.
Yeah, I just don't compare ourselves to any of these other kind of so-called
that's fair
bands. It just feels like we're like, you know, somehow separate to that and not in competition in any way. We're like an alternative to it. And
that's true.
We looked at, you know, Britpop and stuff. This isn't what we were doing. We're kind of building on what we saw as like a continuation of like fuzzy, noisy, like obnoxious music.
Yeah.
You know, the whole Pebbles stream of thought, you know.
Yeah. So do you think it was difficult to sort of get an audience in that respect because they all sort of gone over to Britpop? Was it hard to find your sort of audience?
We were always surprised at how big an audience we had. We had a massive audience, you know. It's maybe something from looking back, it doesn't, because, you know, we're not really, we've become that obscure band, you know, of that time, like really quite analogous to that kind of 6 issues of that Urusei Yatsura like manga that I saw in that comic shop. You know, it's just we're not really kind of talked of in the same breath as these other bands, which is absolutely fine. You know, no complaining. I don't want to be a, you know, living in Hampstead Heath with a heroin problem. You know, I'm quite happy the way it but it's just, God, I've got sidetracked with my own chain of thought there. I don't know what I was trying to say about it.
But we do all the time.
We know what you mean. Yeah. Can we talk about touring? So I was lucky enough to see Urusei Yatsura a couple of times back in the day. Once at the Louisiana in Bristol, I think maybe with Macrocosmica, if that rings a bell.
Could be, yeah.
And
the specifics are vague, but
again at the Anson Rooms in Bristol, and I got this very kind of, it might be a false memory, but in my mind, it's a very clear memory of you holding up a guitar, which you claimed you'd bought for 20 quid that day in the guitar shop, which you then proceeded to smash the shit out of in the gig. I mean, did you do that kind of thing a lot?
Yeah, we did it a few times, I guess. It definitely sounds like something I would have done, you know. It's yeah, it's a bit kind of pretentious to kind of smash guitars, but you know, it's just sometimes it's really fun to do, you know.
It's cool sometimes, isn't it?
It was amazing. It was great.
Obnoxious. I mean, I used to think that
he remembers it.
I remember it.
Video of like you know, Pete Townsend smashing up guitars and going, "Oh, mate, I could have used that guitar. I can't afford a guitar. Give it to me."
There is that.
Something like that, you know, a little bit. Oh, as a rich man smashing his guitar, but that's probably why I had to announce I got it for 20 quid at a flea market. You know,
right? So you could justify it. Yeah.
I don't have a contract with Gibson that I'm contractually obliged to smash up a Gibson guitar every night on stage. You know, it wasn't really thought out as that. You know, it's just something it was thought it's pure fun, but you know, it's an exception. You know, we set them on fire as well, and for pictures.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Just it just goes back to that thing of just that. The learning guitar made my fingers bleed for so many months. Now I can't really love guitars. I've got to mistreat them in some sort of way.
You're getting revenge on the guitar. I like it.
Guitar torture, you know. It's you know, you made me bleed. I'm going to make you burn. You know, it's must be something.
Motherfucker. Yeah.
Someone, you know,
take that guitar.
You mentioned Mogwai earlier. We had Stuart on the podcast recently as well. I mean, how was it touring with those guys?
Really good fun. I think it was both of our first tours, really. I think they'd really kind of like been on a kind of tour at that point. Although I think they played outside of Glasgow a few times, I think. But so it was all kind of pretty new to us. But it was one of those things, just like we kind of just got to know each other on the way around and kind of really enjoyed it. I just remembering this is coming into my head. Like I think the second show we played was somewhere in Essex. You know, the first gig was in Lincoln, and we only had like one microphone stand to share between all of us. You know, which is fine for Mogwai. We were really struggling. But second one was this place in Essex, and I totally remember like Mogwai's first song. Quite a big club, and it was kind of quite full, you know. Must have been about 200 odd people there, you know, like it's you know, small scale tour, but they played the first song, and it was just like silence after it. Everyone was like, you know, nothing, and I'm standing at the back at the merch stall, like, and I didn't want to be the first.
You don't want to be the first clapper. No one wants to be the first clapper, do they?
It's not my job to be to do that. I just wanted to see what happened. You know, I was watching, and nothing. And then they went on and played, and I just kind of thought like that time, like, God, these guys are actually going to be really big because they don't give a monkeys about kind of crowd pleasing. They don't have vocals. They don't have, you know, a big rock and roll flourishes. That, you know, it's just like, this is the music, you know, and it's good music, you know, you take it or leave it. And they're just not bothered by the fact that people just don't get it, because so many people didn't get it to start with.
Yeah, because I think Stuart mentioned that as well. Maybe it was that gig, but he said the same thing. He said that they did a lot of time the audience didn't know what to do because there were no words, so they
there's no cue.
they got spooked.
The shape of the music was something they weren't
used to,
familiar with, so they couldn't deal with it. And I thought, well, they're doing something original, and they're not kind of taking the easy way. And I thought, well, if they're going to keep that up, they'll definitely, get attention.
And they've never compromised either, and they're still doing it amazingly well, right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why, but I just obviously the stated reasons. But when I saw them like that happening, I just thought that these guys are going to be really good. They're going to make it big.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, making it big might have been putting out one really amazing album and splitting up the next day. But I thought it's going to be successful. This is going to be like the album out of this,
Oh, and it was.
They got a number one,
I'm off to see them in a few weeks here in Tokyo as well. So.
Good stuff. I've not been seeing for a little while actually. Like just the whole kind of I just had a kid in 2020, so the whole kind of pandemic and having a small child has just basically kind of put a stop to me going out to gigs every night. Never mind the price of electricity as well. That's going to definitely put a damper.
Sure.
I mean, with all bands these days can do it. Do you know what I mean? It was lucky for us. We were doing things back in the 90s when people actually had money to spend, but got so much.
It's hard, man.
Music now it's so hard.
Yeah, we speak to so many bands. It's just tough for bands out there at the moment.
And all the places we played are kind of all closing down. It's no fun allowed.
No, I think all that, a lot of bands are like yourself. I think if they break even at the end of a tour, then happy days. That's like the best they can hope for. And that's the real
shouldn't be that way though, right?
No, it shouldn't.
You should be able to earn a living from it.
Yeah, definitely. It's I mean, just the kind of the criminals involved. Whoever it is that runs Spotify, kind of like basically make sure that people do music.
Tech bros.
You're basically going to get your sons of the gentry, putting the music out now, and you've pretty much decided you don't want anyone who's earning less, or their parents don't earn a certain amount of money per year to do music. So that's the decision you're making. It's not great.
No, we're speaking to Richard last week. Richard, who runs the gigantic all day it's in Bristol this year. He was saying the same thing. There's the whole Live Nation thing taking over all the venues is just killing everything. Shame.
Well, that's my one kind of one of my many political stances that I try not to get too vocal about. But look,
go on.
If a venue is going to take a percentage of your merch sales, you get a percentage of the beer sales.
Isn't it? Yeah, right.
I'll be quite happy to do that swap. You can get 20% of merch. I get 20%.
That is nuts.
I know Tim Burgess was kind of campaigning against that, wasn't he? About that taking the merch sales percentage. Yeah. Completely fucked. Where did that come up with that?
Started that.
Yes, it's pure sense. If venues are going to take in off your merch stand, you got to get something off the alcohol sales.
Of course.
People aren't coming to their venue unless you're playing your music there. So
exactly.
I'm just thinking. I don't know. We haven't played kind of live in a place with a merch stall, for years and years, obviously. But back 20 years ago in Bristol, if someone had come up to me and said, "Look, I want 20% of your merch," I'm not sure what I would have done, but I might have hurt them.
Yeah, well, when I first found out
to the face.
When I first found out that was going on, I couldn't quite believe it. It's mental.
Yeah,
that's mad.
With all the guitar smashing and everything, you got a pretty good live reputation. I mean, which one did you enjoy more, playing live or making records?
Both great in their different ways. Both bad in their different ways, but playing live is really the whole point. I mean, we obviously every band starts that way. You don't start by making a record, usually. It was just becoming better at playing the music. When we started out, it was about having 5 new songs every time we played, and writing songs and making them into a thing where all the band would play along was always a big thrill, and then sharing them with people was a thrill. And then when people actually started to kind of pay attention and start clapping was good. When people actually came to see you rather than just happening to be in the place where you were subjecting them to the noise was good. Playing big shows, amazing. You know, just I could never get used to that kind of when you'd be in a big show and you'd come on and you'd go and pick up your guitar and people would start like cheering. You know, I'd be like,
yeah.
Who they for us? Shit, that's weird. You know, I always felt like, slight imposter syndrome. But it was just a wee thrill, like, oh yeah, that's for us. You know, and we knew we were going to be good because we kind of knew the songs back to front, and we could have fun with them, and we knew it was going to sound good because I knew Fergus was going to be good, I knew Ian was going to be good, I knew Elaine was going to be good. There was actually no worries that we would be bad, you know.
Right.
I don't think we did very many bad shows, you know. It's there's lack of atmosphere sometimes if the audience isn't in it, you know. Like, but
you got no control over that, though, have you?
Yeah, I mean, we played shows like even when we had our first album out, we played a show in Aberdeen and there was like 5 people there, you know. But we just thought, oh, great, I hadn't been back to Aberdeen for a while. Let's just have a laugh and play our tunes, you know. And I think we probably spoke to everyone in the audience after that. And you know, I've been to see bands like I saw Arches of Loaf, saw Radial Spangle. There was about 9 people there, you know, maybe just me and my pals and about 2 other folk, you know. And it never put me off. I always just loved seeing the bands. And the worst thing you can do in a band in that situation is throw a strop and say,
"Oh yeah,
dog," you know.
Yeah,
well, look,
just
entertain
go
the
for
dog
it even harder.
Afterwards, you know, it's not a big deal. It's always going to happen with bands, but it's the same. It's all kind of about attitude, you know. You're never going to be any good if you're not doing it for the right reasons, you know.
No,
I think folk can tell when you're not doing it for the right reasons as well. You could be very professional and even quite entertaining, but people are never going to fall in love with you if you're just doing it to, I don't know, what wrong reason might be, but because it's for a paycheck or for being professional.
In a way, it's more important for those gigs where less people turn up because they've bothered to come along. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, totally.
You should be putting a show on for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get paid properly anyway. So it could be 200 people or it could be 20. You know, it's still, if you stop to think about it for 2 seconds, you know, you go, getting 20 people down to see you is amazing because it means you have kind of actually made something that people want to hear. You know, and
absolutely.
Point, more people the better. Yeah, but you know, keep a hold of that fact that people are interested in what you're doing, and you know, why not let them see it? You know.
Yeah, that's a win already. Yeah.
All right. Can I ask about a few of my my favorite tracks, if that's all right? First of all, Cube is Like Watermelon. Got a copy of got a 7-inch here. One of the my best intros ever made. Do you remember this song, Coming Together?
Yeah. That's one of Fergus's songs. I remember kind of him teaching me it. You know, showing me the kind of the chord shapes because obviously I didn't know what any of the chords were called.
The shapes, yeah.
And I had a total thing. Oh, this is. I like this, but I don't understand it. You know, I always kind of thought like it probably doesn't kind of leap out at you just listening to it, but when you're playing it, it seems like the chorus is like backwards somehow. It just seems like things are happening when you wouldn't expect them to happen, and it took me just to get my head around it. And I thought, it's just something clever is happening here.
Sure,
you know, we might make it sound very dumb, but it's actually quite smart. You know, so I had a bit of respect for Fergus when he came up with that one. It was good. I think the first time we ever played it was like on the rock show, like Radio Scotland. John Kavanagh had us in, and we just kind of written that and kind of played it then. And it's always fun to have that kind of scream at the start, you know.
So good.
Kind of wrecked for after a wee while, but we used to always start gigs with that. It's just like, we're on now.
It's great. Also, I've had like a 30-year argument with my mate Tom about the lyrics. So he claims it's Cupid is like watermelon, like like Cupid is the size of watermelons, as in similar to watermelon. And I say it's Cupids are partial to a bit of watermelon, like the fruit. Can you settle our argument once and for all?
I always thought it was Cupids are like watermelon, they're partial to it, as you're saying.
Okay.
we didn't have a title for that one for ages, but someone had actually written to us from Japan. Some of our records were on import over there, and I don't think we could actually understand anything that was on the layer, but the note paper was a picture of a Kewpie eating watermelon, and it just said "Kewpie's like watermelon" on it. So I said to Fergus, "There's a title for it. Is that would that work?" And he went, "Yeah, we'll do that then." So I think he obviously incorporated that into the lyrics at that point as well.
Yeah.
So that's where we got
that one.
That's settled that. I'm right, Tom. If you're watching, fuck you. Next, Siamese. I think it's the first song I heard from Urusei Yatsura. Again, got a copy of it here. Just the speed, the energy, the kind of the wig out at the end. Can you tell us a bit about writing that?
When we had the band very early on, we used to kind of go in and help a friend of ours, this guy called Tom Falls. He was the drummer in the Blisters, which was Alex Kapranos' first band. And he was doing like a music production course at a college, and he needed a band to record, so we went in to kind of to help him out with that on a couple of occasions, I think. But on one of the times we put together Siamese, Fergus had the chords, and then I kind of thought I really wanted to have one that I could hit like a drumstick wedged in the guitar strings, like the old Thurston Moore kind of trick,
Sure.
It's so much fun to do. So I kind of did that, and it just try to play it like percussion, and then we recorded the music, and they didn't have any words at the time, but we got really excited about it, and me and Fergus went to the canteen bit in the college and just wrote about 4 sheets of A4 of lyrics, and it was just basically kind of about like who we were, sort of bands we were playing with and bands we liked and things we were into at the time, and basically kind of sorted it out into the 2-minute song, so I just really clear memory of sitting kind of scrolling lyrics after lyrics, and it basically took us about half an hour or something to write them all down. I mean, I guess the process of kind of actually arranging everything maybe took a while, but the actual writing of it was in about an hour or something like that.
Wow, amazing.
But Fergus's idea, but we both kind of like collaborated on the lyrics. That's why we're both shouting different things at
yeah, you got that. Yeah, so good. Overlapping vocals, and love it. Okay, just one more I want to ask about. Hello Tiger, I think it's your most successful single. Top 40 hit.
Number 40,
Can you tell us about
it? Wasn't 41. We were so sure it was going to be number 41. We had an idea to make a t-shirt with number 41 on it. It spoiled
it's
a
joke. Perfect pop song. It's so good. Again, can you tell us about writing that?
Geez, I don't know. I really found this, like, it's still sitting there. That's a tape of the first time we recorded it in a studio, like a boombox. But this is just like 8 or 9 songs that we had together that were eventually going to be on the second album, the Slain by album. But there's no half the lyrics aren't there yet. It's just going, I did a Hello Tiger, so it's just kind of half done. But it's just one of the ones, just same as anything else. We kind of had music, and I brought in a bunch of chords and like half baked kind of lyrical ideas, and taught the rest of the band to play, and then they all came up with obviously their own contributions to it, and actually made it work. And then we just kind of basically played it over and over in the studio, and kind of eventually the kind of lyrics kind of came out. It's just my approach to writing lyrics has always been like, let's just sing along with the words and see what syllables are meant to go where, and then at the end there's sort of a story comes out of it, and it's mostly kind of stream of consciousness, but that's just the only way I can do it. I can't sit down and write a poem and then kind of set it to music. It's impossible. I've got none of respect for someone who can do that, but I've never figured out how.
That's great. But did you think we got a hit on our hands here? This is top 40, guys.
No, not at all. It's just you write songs, you're just writing things that you kind of quite like the sound of, the best you can possibly do.
Yeah.
You're pretty much limited by what you can think of, or what everyone else in the band can think of together.
Yeah.
So you can never really surprise yourself, except on the very kind of odd occasions, which are kind of quite magical if you can figure that out, But it's just something kind of we enjoyed it. But again, it could have been any one of the songs on that album could have been the single. I just don't think we really know. We're too close to it to figure out what's actually the best song.
Oh man, well, it's full of all killer tracks on it. So yeah, I agree with that.
No, we try our best in every one. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like
Sure.
what one that as other people like most. So I think I don't know.
Do you have your own favorite track?
Yeah, probably loads. It depends on which kind of which year or which album, I suppose. I really like Exodore from that album. I think that should have been a single, and just all the guitars in that were just like really fun to me. Just it's so kind of primitive and fucked up, but it's just nice. It's very kind of very dirty era Sonic Youth, I think. But nothing can be completely original. But that one, another one, a No Girl of Fergus's, was really good from that album. So I'm probably only come up with Fergus's songs because it's I can hear that as a member of the audience almost, But of my own, I think probably that song Colonel from the first album was probably a favorite. I did a good job, lyrics, the dynamics of the song and stuff like that, and just the other guitars going on that is really good. It's just I'm always kind of really focused on guitars, but I mean when you listen to the songs, it's none of them would work without kind of a really strong kind of rhythm section, and Ian and Elena are kind of really amazing at it. And so now when I listen to it, I kind of more concentrate on the rhythms are always really important, but the bass guitar kind of comes out to me a bit more because it's you realize more of the importance. I think it was a little bit more kind of maybe pushed down too much, when we did the original kind of mastering of it. It's, I think if I was going to do it again, I'd have it a bit stronger and a bit more at the fore, because you can still hear the guitars, but when you're a guitarist, you're always obsessed with it being really loud and just kind of knocking your socks off, when you turn it on. But it's can be counterproductive to turn the guitar up, because you really need a bit of bass end behind it to kind of make it work. And be able to focus on it now, you can hear all the kind of melodies and the kind of rhythms that are going on in there. So it's I sometimes listen to things and kind of obviously, because I kind of you don't listen to my own music every day, but every now and then I'll kind of like pull out and go, I hear what's going on here now. I was more worried about my own part of it, but now I'm hearing other people's. I'm kind of really kind of think, yeah, that's what they're doing there. That's really good. There's always a surprise to listen to your own music,
Yeah. How did the sort of songwriting process work? Was it most of the tracks are either credited to yourself or Fergus, and then the rest of the band? Was it like a Lennon and McCartney thing going on?
Well, I don't know. Lennon and McCartney probably a little bit better than us, but
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Beatles.
Not for me, man. Yeah.
No.
Well, usually we would the main name songwriter is the person who's kind of come in as the pilot of that song, and it would probably come in with chords and show the rest of the band how it's meant to go. And speaking for myself, it would be like here's the chords, everyone play along, and you just kind of play it and play it and play it until your parts kind of develop. I'd usually I'd probably be. Well, it's really annoying. People have a kind of set, I want this to sound driving. I want it to sound, this is where I want the punchy bits to be. I want it to, here's where the chorus kicks in or whatever, and that's kind of for drums to kind of, hit harder, hit softer. What rhythm are you doing? Oh, that's great. Stick with that one. With Fergus I've come up with about 4 or 5 different ideas. You could say to Ferguson who's playing guitar like, yeah, that bit's really good, but could you maybe try and do it a bit more purple or with orange flashes or something like that?
Purple? What does that mean?
Exactly. You could just say that's and then he'd come up with another way of approaching it, and it'd be absolutely amazing. You go, my God, don't forget that. And you'd have to kind of get a little boombox and cassette tape and tape it.
Record it.
Right. But you'd almost never have to listen to it again, because you'd always remember your bit, because the good bits you would think, we'll play that again, and anything you forget is probably like a bad bit, and it's not really needed. And it's just a matter of kind of linking it all up, and then that's a song, and then all the kind of the words start kind of coming out, because it's got to fit in with the syllables, and then the story develops or whatever.
Sure.
It was a very, very much a sort of collaborative process as a band. Then you sort of just came up with a concept, and then the whole band sort of made the song together.
I just show basic chords, and Fergus would show me basic chords of his and kind of give me half an idea what he's after. But I mean, my guitar playing was always kind of more primitive of the two. Fergus actually knew how to play guitar. Mine is like, I wonder if I dropped this, if it would sound good, and I always thought that was like our kind of tension between the two of us. Fergus was really the musician, and I was kind of more like the kind of the guy who had no respect for the instrument and just tried detuning the guitar and kind of bending the strings or something, and see what works.
But fire.
Yeah, I think we all kind of really liked that kind of idea of just.
That's a great dynamic. Yeah, it worked.
It was a well trod path. This kind of stuff, like these kind of techniques were kind of like Sonic Youth, like noise bands. Fred Frith, where they put in the bulldog clips on guitar strings and things.
Oh, really? Like I didn't know that. Okay, yeah.
Things, it's just whatever,
Yeah.
So we're kind of open just to trying things we could think about and try not to make it too boring,
Sure.
It's playing straight ahead always kind of slightly borders,
It worked.
Yeah, on occasions, you go to the champion, you hear plenty that didn't work, but it's still there.
Was there any particular event or anything that triggered the band splitting in 2001?
Just things just weren't working as well as they were. Obviously, like we'd had the thing of being on an independent label, but it had its funding coming from like major labels.
So we've heard this story before.
Yeah, as was the way in the 90s.
The 90s in a nutshell, but
fake DIY as Biss put it, right?
Yeah, we had the thing of basically having a record ready every year, but it would come out every 2 years, so we always had our momentum kind of chopped in half, like every 6 months or something, so never do as much as we wanted to do. We should have had about 4 albums out in the time we were going, but it just kind of got kind of more and more like difficult. But we kind of feel though that the last record we kind of we bought it back from Sire in a way and put it out ourselves on our own label, and it's the only one we kind of feel that we kind of actually made work as a business venture. We made a profit on it, and broke even, and that was like our kind of goal, and we did match that ourselves, and because that's what we want to do at the start. We were kind of quite what's the word, we admired Stereolab as a band. They had their Duophonic label. They put out lots of interesting 7s and 10-inch singles, and ran their own kind of career in that sort of way. That's the way we want to do it, but unfortunately we had no connections, we had no money, we had no access, so we basically had to get a label we respected to kind of help us out. It kind of worked for a while, and it was really, really good fun, but towards the end it really wasn't kind of fun anymore, so just gonna put a cap on it and move on. But, good fun for a bit. I mean, even the last while it was kind of good fun in it, and it was kind of some satisfaction in doing the record, but it just didn't seem there was a way forward at that point.
Yeah. And what did you do straight after that? Did you do solo stuff and things like that?
I basically went to work in a record shop. I kind of just want to have a job again, and that's kind of what I knew what to do. So that was my thing for a while. I just wanted to have nothing to do with music of any sort.
Oh wow!
so cheesed off with it, you know. But
sure.
But I kind of basically kind of my kind of taste in music kind of changed from noisy kind of noise rock and kind of detuned kind of guitars into more kind of like soft music, you know. So I went from Sonic Youth to Low basically, you know, and I just
Right.
everything.
That's a pretty good transition there. Yeah.
Just whisper to me, you know, don't shout. I don't want any sort of like flag waving or scream. I just want something very understated. And I played music like that on my own for like a little while, but I never like recorded anything or tried to put anything out. It was for fun, you know, because I wasn't very good at it, you know, not really my sort of area of expertise. But started playing music with pals after that, but we never really kind of got out of rehearsal studio. A few gigs, but not really.
Have the four of you ever played together since splitting?
No. Well, Ian, Elaine, and Fergus had played for a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
follow-on band, but I think Fergus is doing things on his own more than the other guys. But because Elaine and Fergus are married now, so they've got like a family and everything like that. So it's kind of much, once you start doing that, it's it's maybe time to kind of hang the guitar up for a little bit. It's certainly what I've done as well. It's kind of have your focus on the family.
Sure, but I mean, a lot of bands from the '90s that are reforming these days and very successfully. You're not tempted to have one last rodeo?
I don't think it would work. It's I really like what I'm doing now is a kind of an archive kind of thing. The recordings are all there, so
yeah.
I mean, I'd really love to kind of put all the records out in a very limited kind of run. We did the reissue of We Are, 2023, I think it was. Yeah, so
yeah, saw that. Yeah,
loads of people got that. It was really good. It went much better than I thought. I thought maybe we'd sell 100 copies or something like that. But we picked up quite a lot of them, and that was just really satisfying to kind of get the unit together. Do you know what I mean? The package. Had to redo covers and everything like that. It's just really good fun to do. So maybe do stuff like that. But I think again, it's like there's young bands now that it should be kind of having these stages. Like
sure, leave the space for them.
To find that. I've got loads of respect for kind of bands who get back together and do that, because I would go and see it. I want to see Sonic Youth playing Daydream Nation.
Sure.
I would see Ride doing their first EPs or something in a gig. That would be fun. But so I'm not saying don't do it, but it kind of like for us, I just feel like there's enough of these guys tonight is doing that anyway. So maybe leave some space for some new bands to come up and take that. But I don't know. Yeah, it's always been really great fun playing live, but I just don't know if I could do it anymore.
All right, Neil, do you want to ask our final question?
Yeah. So we always ask every guest we have on air the same question. So if you could have been in any other band from the '90s, which band would it have been and why?
Oh, wow. That is a big question.
Try our best.
How do you approach it for the band who look like they're having the most fun, or the band who got richest?
Sure.
Yeah. So this is we have a lot of guests that have the same struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or who annoys me the most? Who could I be in the band and sabotage them?
Sabotage. That's a good way. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah,
that's a good idea. That's a new angle.
Fuck up their career. Yeah.
Start burning all their guitars.
Many. Yeah. Oh man, that's kind of pretty mean-minded. I maybe shouldn't go down that.
Sure.
I'm thinking of it. I'm going, oh well, yeah. What if Oasis's transit kept breaking down? I mean,
what are the chances, eh?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
they would never have made it to King Tut's if their brand had broken down on the way.
Yeah, that could just be one moment, and you could stop them forever. No, I mean, really, I always think like Oasis is not my concern. Do you know what I mean? It's like people have stopped playing Wonderwall, like busking now, even. So I'm fine with it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know who'd be fun being in. Bewitched. I don't know. I could.
Well, we haven't had that before, so
I've got a denim shirt and denim jeans, so I could fit in.
Yeah.
I think they wouldn't
That's
even
like
notice.
me dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd be totally happily like roadieing for Biss or something like that. That would be a good laugh, you know.
Oh,
Like,
Biss would be a good one. Yeah, we spoke to
had them
Steve and
on.
Manda as well. They were so lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to see them at St. Luke's recently. They did it.
Oh, did you go to that? I saw the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was they had Yummy Fur and Long Leg kind of supporting
Right.
them, and it's like, it's just like in the 13th note.
The old days. Well, speaking of the Yummy Fur, like and you work with Alex, I think he plays on the first album as well, bits and pieces. Were you surprised when Franz Ferdinand totally became like one of the biggest bands on the planet?
Yeah, but again, it's like the music was great, you know. It was, I remember kind of bumping into Alex just before the single came out. We're in a pub and he's going, "Oh, we're playing this place at the Chateau. You should come along. It's you know, really fun. It's just, you know, it's free. You know, we just play there." And I go, "Oh yeah, I'll have to do that." You know, and for some reason I couldn't go. And then next thing, you know, they're on Top of the Pops, and it's like,
yeah.
But you know, I heard their tunes, you know, and they're all those kind of things that I really liked when Alex was doing with like the Blisters at the time, but much more, you know, sharpened to a diamond point. You know, all the good things. Because he used to be really good with like riffs, you know, and he always kind of made me think, oh, that'd be good to write riffs like Alex does, you know, like, and you know, things like Powerball and stuff like that. Where
right,
like, oh,
right.
This is how you write riffs. Like maybe kind of Alex would have come up with something like that, you know. You know, I'd be kind of like inspired by his kind of like playing before. Hearing that album, it was just all totally dead on. It was locked in. It was really good tunes there.
It's good, right?
And it's that's the thing we kind of never quite did. I don't think, just having a tune that just really clicked in and was that perfect, that kind of classic.
Oh, I disagree. I think you've got many of them, but yeah. Powerball's an interesting song, right? I like Powerball a lot as well. That references like K Records and stuff like that, right? That's Powerball?
Yeah, that's me being goofy, you know. Like I kind of had it in my head, like, what if you know, the guy who runs K Records is the same guy who was in Calvin and Hobbes cartoons, and
Calvin Johnson, right.
Right from the perspective of someone who's clearly mixed that up, you know.
Sure.
It was the kind of the least hipster thing I could think of to write at the time. It just made me sound like a complete idiot, but it just
I love it. It's a great song. Yeah,
it made me laugh, and it was just a little bit too obscure to kind of be truly stupid, you know.
It's great. All right, and we've kept you a really long time, so apologies, but thank you so much. Do you have anything that you want to plug? Do you want people to go and listen to, or you talked about the archives and Bandcamp and stuff? Is that
look, I've got a whole archive of stuff if you're interested, you know, on Bandcamp, Urusei Yatsura. There's lots of live shows that a lot of folk have been sending us in, like cassettes they made, you know, from the audience and stuff. So I've just been trying to put them up for folk, and it's 0 pence. Don't have to pay anything. Just to have a listen if you're interested. You know, just don't try and download them all and listen to them, because, like, you know, nobody's got that much time in their life. You know, you really have to kind of ask yourself some questions if you're, you know, going that far. But it's, you know, dip in.
It's just like an anti-plug.
Yeah. Don't give your lives to it, you know. Just it might be interesting here. Now you can hear exact moment the string breaks or the amplifier blows up, you know. It's audio verite. It's there to be listened to or left, whatever you fancy, you know.
Yeah,
all right,
cool.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to stop the recording now, but thank you so much for giving us so much of your time. Thank you.
Cheers.
One moment.
Thank you.
So there we go. Graham from Urusei Yatsura.
You missed the Y. You got the first word right. The difficult one. Come on, you nearly had it. Do it again.
Can we just say Satsuma instead of Yatsura? That would be easier.
Wrong. There was Graham from Urusei Yatsura.
Nicely done.
Good, very interesting guy, isn't he?
Yeah. Very dry and funny and very self-deprecating. Yeah. Dave?
Another Scottish one, Dave.
Yeah, again.
A Scottish scene that didn't exist.
I know, but everyone was from Scotland.
I know.
Everyone.
Pretty much. Statistically, they had a big chunk of the indie scene. But yeah, your pronouncement of the name did make me laugh all the way through. It's not wrong.
It's just too good.
Yeah, it's too good. It's like when people sort of talking normally and said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have some paella tonight," and then they go back to speaking in English and stuff.
I don't know how else to do it without sounding like a cunt.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is a way. I think that's the only way. You've got to commit, haven't you?
You got to commit. You have.
You are like half Japanese, so it's all right. But
yeah.
But it did make me chuckle.
What about that? Everyone had bleach in Glasgow.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
that's interesting.
Nirvana, you know, they covered the Vaselines and loved the Vaselines.
Yeah.
Is there a Vaseline song on Bleach?
Not on Bleach. No.
It wasn't, was there?
No.
What was there?
No covers on Bleach, was there? Don't you?
Oh, a Love Buzz. But,
yeah. That's right. I
Mm.
don't think there's any Vaselines in there, no.
Anyway, maybe there seemed to be a bit of a thing with Scotland and Nirvana, I reckon.
Well, there wasn't there? There was there's the Vaseline's link, isn't there? No, yeah, but we did that. We spoke about a link, didn't we?
Well, maybe it is just the Vaselines and the fact that it's like
being expanded.
The music went down well. The style of music was really appreciated in Scotland.
It's a lot of the conversation, it's not his fault, but it was quite depressing about where he said at one point, music costs money, it doesn't make money.
Yes.
That's not
it
good,
shouldn't be that way, right?
Yeah, it came up later, didn't it? How
you
have to have rich parents to have a chance in music now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously wrong, isn't it?
It is wrong. The whole live part of it needs to change, though. Bands shouldn't have to pay for their tours and stuff. They shouldn't have to be working at a deficit. Do you know what I mean? And fucking venues shouldn't be taking 20% of their fucking merch sales. That's fucking ridiculous.
That's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I didn't even know that sort of thing went on. Bit naive in that respect. But that's just nonsense.
There can't be any justification for that whatsoever, can there?
No, and I like what he said. Well, we'll have 20% of your beer sales then. If we're going to do it like
exactly.
that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
But like, you remember last week, like Morgan said, they basically, that's the only money they made was from merch. Is what he said,
exactly.
Right?
So why are venues getting a cut of that?
Senseless Things wouldn't have been able to exist without selling all of those Pop Kid t-shirts, you know?
Yeah, that sort of stuff can't be allowed to carry on. It's just nonsense, isn't it?
There must be a solution because there are just I went to Eastbourne the other day and there are so many derelict, empty buildings.
Oh, it's horrible.
Like just lying there.
Yeah.
Some of them could be venues that wouldn't cost a thing to go in.
Well, like the old when people used to have raves in warehouses and stuff.
Yeah. Like
they need a counterculture for that, don't they? They need kids to take over these places.
There's this massive, loads of massive buildings completely empty and unused.
Yeah.
In every town in Britain.
Yeah, I need to reclaim them.
Guerrilla gigs. Need some more of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Libertines used to do that a lot, didn't they? Guerrilla gigs.
They did indeed, yeah.
Did that well.
I was listening to something the other day, like Fugazi, they famously charged like $5 for all of their gigs, basically. So wherever they were playing, they charged $5. Yeah. So I think they played like Madison Square Gardens or whatever, and they charged $5. And they were interesting. They were saying that it kind of gives them more freedom because ticket prices are so high nowadays. This is what it's about. It was it was a conversation about like how people are not interested in new music anymore. And they're saying, if you go and see like an old band and they don't play the hits, you're going to be disappointed, especially if you've paid like 50 quid to go and see them.
Right. So
but if you've only paid a $5 and they don't play the old songs, then you think, well, fuck it, I've paid a $5. I don't care. They can do what they want, right? So keeping the prices low gives them a bit more freedom, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
They also told a really interesting story. I don't know if it's true, about Neil Young. And basically, I think it's Tonight's the Night album. He came out and he just played the whole of the new album in its entirety. And the crowd was like,
hits.
Well, exactly. The crowd was shouting at him and getting restless. And he said, all right, and now I'm going to play something that you've heard. And he just played the same album again. Because they'd heard it once, right, that night. Which is great. It's great.
Yeah.
Only Neil Young would be able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, this country's ballsed it all up with the whole Brexit thing and not sort of negotiating some sort of a fucking deal where bands don't have to fill in loads of shit and pay money to go to Europe. But that could be fixed, I'm sure, if someone had the balls to do it.
Yeah, it might be. Right. He said it's easier to hear if a bassist makes mistakes.
Yes.
Or a drummer.
I've said this before.
Why do I find it so difficult to pick out
don't you
the
know
bass
anything
sound?
about music?
I don't know.
But know everything about music at the same time. You simultaneously know nothing and everything about music.
It's quite a feat to pull
amazing. Yeah.
So can't you hear the bass then?
I just can't pick it out.
Maybe your ears only hear a certain range of sound.
Maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. I don't know.
The bass is basically the lowest note. Yeah.
But it's that because of that, it makes it difficult to pick it out.
The lowest bass notes are quite hard to pick out.
Yeah.
They are.
So the drum and bass sort of, they go together, really. The drum, so the kick drum and the bass usually lock in. And that creates the sort of low end of the band.
But yeah, the higher the bass notes are being played, the easier it is to hear.
The more they sound like a guitar, the easier it is to hear, you mean?
So this is why Peter Hook's got quite a distinctive style, because he plays at the higher range of the bass notes, so you can hear his bass lines.
So it's not just me that can't hear them.
No, you're not supposed to hear them.
Hear them.
Yeah, they're supposed to sort of just.
I can hear them, but I just can't pick it out. You know,
you can't pick out. Yeah, I mean, I can't really either. The lowest ones, the lower.
Yeah, a lot of bands, they're just there to sort of. It just fills the low end part of the song. If you did, what you would notice,
I don't know what the low end part of the song means.
Well, if the bass wasn't there, you'd notice.
Yeah, and if it was wrong,
I don't think I would.
The song wouldn't feel as full. The song wouldn't. That's the only way I can sort of explain it. The song would feel like it was missing something. It wouldn't.
It would sound more like George Formby without the bass.
Sure.
A lot of the time, the bass just sort of sits in the background. But what he's saying is, if you play a wrong bass note, that's when you do notice, because it'll stand out, because
especially to the other band members.
It would.
It would put the other band members off, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I've made note of that as well, because I thought it might come up. But yeah, no, that is true. A guitarist can easily get away with it because you can lose it in the song, but a bass line you can't really.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Yeah. I believe you.
He spoke a bit about, going back to Nirvana, he spoke a little bit about the excitement of Nevermind, right? And a lot of people talk about it. I can't remember the excitement of Nevermind. Can you?
Yeah.
I can.
Totally.
No, I don't. I can't.
I remember the moment I first saw it.
You can remember?
Yeah,
that smells like
style, you know. Yeah.
Smells Like Teen Spirit video.
No, just someone holding up the tape.
Oh, right.
It was in art. Something showing me this tape, and then I listened to it later.
I can't remember the excitement.
Really? I can.
Maybe I was too stoned.
That'll be it.
Don't know what that means.
I've got just some general knowledge questions. I could have looked them up, but I thought I can ask them in case other people were asking them. So how's manga different from comics?
Well, manga are Japanese.
But you said it's not a comic.
Yeah. Why
isn't it? Well, it's just a bit different. It's its own distinct style. Also, manga can be anything. Like comics can't be anything.
No,
you know, if you go into the bookshop, there's a manga for every single thing you're interested in. If you were interested in fishing, there'll be a fishing manga, and you won't be directed at kids or anything like that. Whatever you're interested in, there's a manga for it, basically.
Not a comic.
And that's just like a graphical book.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have like a storyline and a narrative.
They're being comic form.
Yeah.
For anything.
I guess so. Yeah, there's loads of like food manga, music manga, of course. There's one I really liked. What was it called? It's about this like indie band, and they played Glastonbury and stuff. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Artwork in general the whole cartoon thing seems to sort of work with indie bands, didn't it? It probably still does.
Yeah.
Like the whole Senseless
I think
Things,
it does.
Jamie Hewlett and all that.
Yeah.
And that Deadline.
Yeah.
Do you remember Deadline, the magazine?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Tank
good.
Girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And Gorillaz, obviously. They
Sure.
just utilise
Well,
that whole thing.
they're kind of manga style, aren't they?
Yeah.
Gorillaz. They got the big
Yeah.
eyes and all of that.
Were they big in Japan?
Gorillas? I
Gorillas.
don't know.
Were they
I mean, they were
popular?
big everywhere, weren't they, Gorillas?
Yeah, yeah.
Still are,
Yeah.
aren't they? Still going, aren't they?
But
Aren't
they are in Japan, are they? Like they're fans.
Yeah, of course. But there's also a manga. There's a Japanese manga idol. Hakune Mitse. I can't remember the name. That's like it's like a projected manga, and a bit like that Black Mirror episode. It's kind of like that.
I like Black Mirror. It's good.
Oh, it's coming back next week, isn't it? New series.
Is it? I don't know if
Yeah.
it's caught up on the... When was the last one? Can't remember.
A couple of years ago. It's good.
The irony that they never played Japan.
Yeah.
I'm quite amusing.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah,
why
they
that
say
didn't
they got-
happen there.
Yeah. Like you said, everyone else seemed to. Yeah.
Oh, the irony. It didn't go unnoticed that you've started squeezing Tom into the interviews now, as well as just pre and post. Do you know what I mean? You're taking a piss now.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but he
a
was
real
Eh?
debate we have been having for many years.
Yeah, I know, but you don't just can't start bringing him into the interviews as well.
All right, I'll never mention him again. Tom Free Zone.
But that was quite a funny little chat, that though. I thought.
Yeah, it's true.
Here, where did this thing with smashing guitars come from? What does it mean?
I started
Did you?
it. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, why?
I don't know. It's been going around. It's not like a new thing, is it? It's been going since the
Didn't the Who
60s.
start it?
Guitars were sort of.
Yeah, but why have a go at your own guitar? I
Well,
can understand.
Graham
why a band
explained
might
his
be-
reasons, his frustration for how much he hated it.
Calluses. It's a
Yeah,
fight
no,
back against
that's probably the
calluses.
best reason I've heard, actually. But
Yeah. So what do we think? Is it rock and roll, or is it?
Well, I think the first time it ever happened, I'm sure it was just someone got, so into the music that they were in a different sort of zone, and they just got caught up in it and just smashed the shit out of their guitar.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen like there's old footage of like the Who smashing up their equipment and stuff, and it does look pretty fucking cool, man. It's rock and roll. It's great.
I guess the physics of it works well because you've got quite a heavy object on the end of a long neck, so you can get a
Yes.
massive amount of force
Sure.
Yeah,
into the smashing of it.
Mike McCready
must
always
be
used
why.
to do it really well. Pearl Jam.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
always a good guitar smasher. I think he still is. I think he still does it.
Does it only work with guitars? So you got that famous picture of Paul Zimmerman on the front of the Clash, smashing his bass guitar. Is that
One of
as
the
cool?
most famous pictures ever, that isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the bass has got a longer neck. So
That's
that would
hard,
be
smashing
more
a
bass up.
effective, yeah.
But it's a bit chunkier though, isn't it? It probably needs a bit more force.
I think also when you're smashing a guitar up, you get loads of feedback and stuff whilst you're smashing it. Whereas with a bass,
Right.
it
Good
just
point.
probably stop working.
yeah,
Right.
good point.
Well, Kurt did that well, didn't he? Getting the feedback out of it as he was smashing his guitar.
That's part of it. It's just making it sound as fucked up as you can before it's
It's a
ultimate
new noise, a
destruction.
special sound as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hacked.
Well, that was such a memory I had, man. It just held up this guitar at the beginning. Said we claimed you bought it for £20, which is pretty. Even back then, that's pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
If you're going to smash a guitar, you're probably better off smashing a cheap one.
That's like you said. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, you can forgive that, right?
Well, I mean, what
Yeah.
if you try smashing it and nothing happens?
Yeah,
It just
look like
doesn't
a
break.
plonker.
The amp doesn't break.
you look like a plonker.
Like a
Utter.
plonker. I mean, know,
Plonker.
going back to if it's just guitars, well, Kurt used to smash the drums up, didn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Used to jump
Yeah.
into the old kit. You've really got to be on good terms with the drummer if you're going to do that sort of stuff, because you're basically smashing his stuff up. You know.
What about if you're like a recorder player?
You'd have to shove it up someone's arse.
Yeah, that's the only thing you could do, really, isn't it?
And play it.
The only thing that would be
whilst
cool.
it was up the arse.
That's literally the only thing you can do to make it rock and roll.
It'd be interesting to find out who the first guitar smasher was. It's probably not the Who. It's probably someone before that.
And there's never a first anything, is there? But
Maybe it was Mozart or something like that. Maybe he did it to his violin.
Yeah,
I was
probably.
reading something interesting. Like a lot of these classic musicians, these renowned classical musicians, they think a lot of them might have had like autism and stuff now because of the way that they wrote things and stuff and behaved. But back then it wasn't even a
Well,
thing.
Mozart, he wasn't normal, was he? I mean, not to mean that you can't be normal with autism, but
no, but yeah,
at 5 years old, he was coming up with symphonies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Those
sort, and like who's the guy who cut his ear off?
Van Gogh.
Yeah. Him as well. Imagine cutting your own ear off.
Yeah.
It's good in Reservoir Dogs, isn't it?
I didn't do it by himself, but yeah.
No, but it's a good. I think that's the bit I fainted. No, I fainted when he was in this. When he was in the car at the start with all the blood. I don't find the ear scene that bad. I thought it was all right. It's not particularly bad, is it?
But it's just because he's relishing it so much, right? That he's kind of dancing around and relishing it, which makes it kind of more, fucked up.
He's briefly mentioned those Sound Cities they used to do, and I thought I used to really enjoy them. They should bring those back. Do you remember them? I remember there was a Bristol one year.
Yeah.
I think basically Radio 1 just went to a city for a week, and there was loads of gigs going on, interviews of bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was all based around a city. I just thought it was a good idea. I don't know why they don't do that sort of thing. I guess they do that with Radio 1 big weekender now when they go to a place. But
that sounds like the same then. They still have Radio 1 road shows. Bring those back, I say.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't think so. I went to the one with Gary Davis in Eastbourne.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Gary Davis is back on the radio.
Is he?
Yeah, Radio 2 now.
Ooh, Gary Davis. Is that Gary Davis? Is that someone else?
So, yeah. No, that's it.
Who had the song Gary Davis Eyes? Was that Half Man, Half Biscuit? I think.
Gary Davis.
Instead of Gary Davis Eyes. Gary Davis Eyes. I think Half Man, Half Biscuit had a track. I think so.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's good.
I think you embarrassed him when you compared him to their songwriting to Lennon and McCartney. But there was a parallel, right? Because one of them was more musical and the other one was more wanting to break things and try different things.
Yeah,
that's
I think
how
you're
Lennon
probably
and
right.
McCartney were, wasn't it? McCartney was the classical musician.
Yeah. That's true.
And Lennon was the irreverent one.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go through, like, look at the album, go through like every track, it's either him, Graham and the band, or it's Fergus and the band. So just have to ask these things. Another person that was not impressed with Britpop.
Oh yeah.
No
one actually admits they were part of it, do they?
Well, he said they were an alternative to Britpop, which I guess they kind of were. I mean, I liked both. But I guess they kind of were. Yeah. I thought his multiple answers to our usual question were pretty funny. Being bewitched or roadieing for Biss, or his sabotage Oasis, which was funny.
Yeah, he had a different take, didn't he, than anyone else?
Yeah.
He danced like me dad.
I heard you say that in the interview. It's very funny.
Oh, did I do it in that as well?
Yeah. It was good. A good
funny,
moment, but it just got drowned out a bit.
That's
No, it's not.
You can't be doing that in front of guests. You can do it on this bit. You can't start doing it in front of guests, being dicks.
Don't shy away from it, man.
Anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks, Graham from Urusei Yatsura.
You had it, man. You had it. Do it. Come on, you had it.
I did.
Do it properly.
Urusei Yatsura.
Close. That's great. They were pretty good. I really was a big fan. Yeah, saw them a couple of times back in the day, so that was a big one for me. It's great.
I used to enjoy a bit of them too. Thanks so much for our sponsor, Shy Curios. for sponsoring this week's podcast. Go on and have a look at their eBay page. Get yourself some vinyl. Use the discount code. We'll put links in the description to everything. And if you are watching this, please do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Get involved in the comments. Let us know your favourite Urusei Yatsura tracks. I tried. Albums.
Not very hard.
Gigs. And if you are listening, then please do rate and review and share this with your friends. Well, share it with your friends if you're watching as well. Doesn't have to just be if you're listening. But
if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. If you're into your Scottish 90s indie, we've had Biss on the podcast. We've had BMX Bandits. Who else have we had? Mogwai, of course.
Mogwai.
And more. So yeah, go dig into the archives. Also, we make a mixtape for every episode. There's not actually that much Urusei Yatsura on Spotify, so I'll find what I can and put that on there. And then a load of other stuff that we talked about today, that Graham talked about in the interview, and that we've talked about in our nonsense. I'll stick that in the mixtape as well. So make sure to have a listen to that.
Can you put "You Could Call Me Al" on it?
wow, you haven't spoken about it.
Why?
You can't just do that.
It's got a good bass solo in it.
Yeah, and I'll give you. And he called Alex Kapranos Al, and he was talking about him.
Perfect.
So I think we've got a link there, Dave.
Oh, good.
Put it in.
Yeah, I noticed he called him Al, and I was like, do his friends call him Al? So yeah, all right. And I'll have a listen to the bass as well. I'll try to listen properly. I will.
Here's your homework, right? Go and listen to Neds Atomic Dustbin track. And you'll be able to hit
the double basses.
Yeah, so one's playing the lower notes and one's playing the higher notes. See if you can hear the difference.
All right. That's a good bit of homework. I'll do that. That.
Right. And also go and listen to Peter Hook on New Order and listen to the bass lines and that, and you'll hear a slight difference because the way he plays the bass.
I tried New Order. They bored me shitless. I love Neds though, so I'll try to focus on the
go and have a listen.
All right.
But that's it for this one. Join us next week for episode 88 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. Dave,
see you in a minute.